morning, how are you all? Today I'm going to start to sew all of those lace flower appliques onto the sunset dress. And first of all I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. And then once I've done that, I'm going to start answering your questions that you've been leaving for me over the last week. I decided not to move any lace after all at the minute. I'm going to start sewing around the bottom of the skirt. And then as I get to the top, I'll sort of decide whether I do want to move anything or not. When I was editing the video last night, I was looking at it thinking, yeah, I do want to change some things. But now I've looked at it again on the mannequin and in real life, which is, I guess it's sort of more of a three-dimensional view. So I've decided that I'm just going to keep it like it is for now. And I'll make some decisions on the top part when I get up to sewing those bits on. Okay, so to sew the lace on, I've kept my dress on the mannequin and I've got the mannequin stood next to me and I'm sat on my sofa in the studio. And then I'm just going to lift the skirt up onto my lap. Let's start here. I might have to just rearrange some pins as I go to make sure it's held nice and secure where I want it. Then I'm going to take my needle and thread and I'm just going to cut a single piece of thread. And I'm going to knot the end. And then I'm going to start from the back and I'm going to start sort of down here where this leaf is. I'm going to come up from the back. My knot will be hidden and all these stitches will be hidden by the lining, and literally I'm just going to do little stitches to hold it in place. So here where I've got the mesh coming over the edge, I'm actually just going to put the stitches where the actual embroidery is. You see that? You see I've got the embroidered sort of stem there, so I'm going to put my stitches there so that they're nicely hidden. So if you've got lace or mesh where you can't hide the stitches very well, you can just use a clear thread. And then I'm lifting this flower up as I stitch to make sure I don't catch any of the petals down. So this side I've got no embroidered branch to stitch, but it's going to be hidden by those petals. So I'm actually going to come back up and I'm actually going to put a knot here just to help hold the weight of that flower. I'll do a couple of little back stitches and then I'm going to knot my thread. For this part I've got no way of getting between the flowers, there's just mesh there, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim that piece of mesh out and then I can bring my stitching from here up behind that leaf and then up to that flower, because as soon as I stitch onto just the mesh part it's going to show. So I'm just going to trim this part away. Yeah, that looks better. You're going to get your thread caught around your leaves all the time, which gets really old really quick. But then I'll just do some back stitches here. And I might even just put one stitch through that petal, just to make sure it stays where I want it to stay over the stitches. And then the same, I'm just going to put one at the end of the leaf here as well. Then I know that they're not going to move and show the stitches underneath. Then here you go, we've got a little stem coming up here to this flower. So again I'm going to go onto the embroidered bits rather than the mesh itself. And I might just bring my thread up through the middle of that flower where the beads are to hold it in place nicely. And that's the end of that piece, that's a separate piece above it. So I'm going to come back down and keep going around the edge of this one piece of lace that I've got cut out. So I'm going to hold that leaf out the way and go behind the leaf. I'm just making sure everything's staying nice and flat as I do it, that it's not lifting up in other places, so it's not going to end up sort of baggy when it hangs down. And again, lifting the petals out the way so I can sew behind the flower here. Yeah, I'm going to do a stitch. I think coming up through the middle of the flowers is going to work well to help hold them, because they're the heaviest bits because there's so much fabric, so many layers. And then I'm going to do another knot there. I'm going to knot by each big flower, I think, just to make sure they don't pull. That's our first part sewn on. I think I'm going to do the same again here, and I'm going to trim away Can you see that? That little bit of mesh there, so I can stitch on the stems, the embroidered stems. And then as I come back down here, I'll probably cut away some of these bits between the leaves as well. And literally I'm just going to keep going and doing this for every piece of lace that I've got pinned onto this dress, which is going to take me ages. And it seems to be working well sat here with it on my lap while it's on the mannequin. Then I know I'm not knocking pins out or having bits fall off as I move it on a desk. So, and then when I get to the top, I might take it off, or I might sew it on the mannequin at the top as well, because I can see what's going on then. So make decisions about moving things at that point. Anyway, so that's how I sew the lace on. All right, so I've just moved that to one side for now. So I was gonna sew and talk to you at the same time, but I think it's probably easiest if I just talk to you. So I'll get back to sewing once I finish filming this part. So today I felt like getting a bit glammed up. So this is the first time I put makeup on other than doing my eyebrows in, I can't even remember how long. And I've started making these little head wraps because my roots are getting so bad. And normally when I'm sewing, I just scrape everything back into a ponytail or a button. But it's reached the point where even that looks terrible now. So when I was in Spotlight recently, I bought some more fabric. I've been making my little head wraps and they look great with some flowers. And I've got my scarf here. There was a little bit left, so I just made a little infinity scarf to match. And it feels good to put makeup on and get dressed up a little bit, even though I'm not going anywhere. It's a good little confidence boost because I've been feeling a bit, frumpy and a bit bleh recently, so it feels good. Actually, first of all, I've got a question for you guys. So does anyone else have clothes that they keep just for sewing? I've got, you probably noticed in my videos, I'm always wearing the same clothes pretty much. So I've got all these black t-shirts and leggings and yoga pants, and that's what I wear to sew in. And I don't wear my nice clothes to sew because I've cut through things. I've been sat cutting lace out of my lap and I've cut through my jeans or my cardigan or whatever I'm wearing. When you're working on huge skirts, it's really easy to get pins that come up and snag your clothes as well. So I always keep separate clothes for my sewing clothes. They tend to be, black. They tend to be stretchy things, so I spend a lot of time on the floor cutting things out. So stretchy pants are really good for getting down on the floor and cutting things out. And then I've got some stretchy shorts I wear in summer as well. So I was just wondering if anyone else had specific clothes that they kept for sewing so they don't mind if they get snagged or cut or ruined. So, or if it's just me. Right, so I've got my glasses on so I can read. I'm getting old and I need glasses for reading and sewing things now. Alright, so first question. So these questions are just in the order that I received them from people. There's no specific order other than I wrote them, I put them into a Word document as they came in so I didn't miss any, and hopefully I haven't missed any. If I get to the end of these videos and I haven't answered your question, please let me know, because I've asked people to leave questions all over the place and I think I gathered them all, but I might have missed one or two on the way. Alright, so Daniel Thomas 0102 on Instagram says, I would love to know if you have ever botanically dyed silk before using a boiling method, and if so, what the best way to treat the material post-colouring so it doesn't wash off when cleaned. I haven't used a lot of botanical dyes. I tend to use the packet dyes. I use those Jacquard acid dyes a lot when I'm dyeing synthetic fabrics. But botanical dyes is something I really want to get into using a bit more. I'm very aware of the amount of chemicals that are in most dyes, and you do end up with a lot of waste with those chemicals and the dye still in at the end of it. And while they give a great effect, yeah, it's probably not the best thing to be using for the future of our planet. So botanical dyes is something that I'd love to try some more of. I've actually been saving all my avocado stones. I've got them in a bag in the freezer until I've got enough. And I want to try dyeing with avocado. So avocado, the stones give you the most amazing blush pink colour, which just, I couldn't believe it when I first saw someone dyeing with avocado, and it's just gorgeous. And so I've been watching a lot of videos and reading up about how to do that. So that's something I want to do. So if you want to see me do a video when I experiment with that, I've never done it before, so I don't know if it'll go right or wrong, but I'm happy to film it. So I guess my answer at the minute, Daniel, is no, I can't help you, but it's something that I really want to do more of. So hopefully in the future I can make some videos and figure out the best way to do it and the best way, yeah, to keep that dye afterwards, because it's so frustrating when you dye something and it comes out and it looks beautiful and then you rinse it and the colour just goes. So yeah, finding a way to, it's treating the mordant to treat the specific fabric that you use is then helps the dye cling to it. So it's finding the right mordant, if I'm saying that right, for the fabric and the dye that you're using. So I'm going to keep doing my research, and once I've got some idea of what goes together and what works, we'll have an experiment and see what we can come up with. If there's any specific botanicals you want to dye with, let me know and I'll have an experiment and see what we can do. Alright, next one. Hanshika Baranwal on Instagram. Sorry if I'm saying names wrong. Does YouTube pay every single YouTuber? Love your videos. Oh, thank you. No, YouTube does not pay every single YouTuber. You have to meet a certain threshold on YouTube with the subscribers and the amount of hours that you get watched in a 365-day rolling period to qualify for being able to put adverts onto your videos. And your videos also have to meet certain requirements, so they can't be sort of violent or lots of swearing and things like that. It has to be, I guess, advertiser friendly for them to get their adverts put on and then get paid. YouTube, at the level I'm at, does not make me a lot of money at all. I make maybe $200 a month from YouTube. It doesn't even cover the cost of the fabrics that I'm buying to use. Hopefully in the future that might change. That's why I put loads of annoying adverts in my videos to try and help me make a little bit more money to help sustain the future of making videos for me. So I know it's super annoying, and it helps me if you don't skip the adverts too. The more adverts that are watched and the longer they're watched, the more money I get. And the more money I can get from YouTube, the more videos I can make. So for now, I'm not making a profit from YouTube at all, which kind of sounds crazy because I put so much effort into making dresses and videos. So I started my channel because when I was starting out sewing, I got a lot of help from people for free who just were willing to share their time and share their skills with me and show me better ways to do things. So part of my reason for doing YouTube is that I want to give other people that opportunity. So back when I was studying in the 90s, it was one-on-one. You had to find someone to sort of mentor you almost. But now there's so many options for videos and learning through online, which is just incredible wherever you are in the world. And I love that. And I guess my other reason for being on YouTube is it's really pushing me to try new things, to experiment with new things, to really improve my skills as well. So I try and push myself each time I make a video or design a new dress to do something different, to experiment with how I do things. So with this dress and with the candy cane dress, I was really trying to work out better ways of putting that internal corset into a dress so it's more hidden, which then benefits my clients. So I always like to try and learn new skills and keep on top of my skills and try and improve my skills for my clients. So this is something I'd kind of be doing in the studio anyway. But yeah, it's nice to share it, and I'm glad there's so many people here who enjoy seeing it. But at the same time, if we come back to the money part and not really making any money from YouTube, it means that at the minute my paid orders and my paid work has to come first. So sometimes there is a big gap between filming videos if I've got orders I have to do, because that's what pays my bills. Hopefully one day YouTube will pay my bills and I can make even more videos. I can spend more money on fabrics and make even more dresses every year. But for now, YouTube is my sort of what I do when I've got time in between doing other orders. So I'd love my channel to grow to the point where I can just make videos and just design and make whatever I want all the time. That would be incredible. So who knows? Maybe I'll get there one day. It's slow. It's really hard. YouTube's so busy. It's really hard to get your channel noticed. I'm growing really slowly. I get quite frustrated sometimes when I see people who start channels and grow really quickly, and I'm like, why can't that happen to me? But I've got some amazing loyal people here who watch all my videos and always leave me comments, and that makes it worth all the effort. So thank you for being here, thank you for watching. I really appreciate you. If you know anyone who might like my channel, please share it, or if you've got any requests, I'll do my best to sort of do your requests for videos in the future as well. So there you go, there's your answer. No, YouTube does not pay all of its YouTubers, and yeah, you have to be a really big channel to actually make money from advertising on YouTube. With everything going on in the world at the minute, I've had a lot of orders postponed, and it's quite a worrying time financially. So I've actually been thinking about setting up a Patreon account, but I don't know if that's something that you guys would be willing to support, or I don't know. I might do it and see what happens. Oh, see, I've got a ring light in front of me. Every time I look down, all I can see is a big circle of light. All right, next one is from Babinette on YouTube. Hi, I do have a question. Do you make sure when you are doing the ornament part on a dress that it's okay, doable, comfortable to move and sit in? I have this problem when making a dress with a lot of stuff on it, so I try to keep part of the midriff and bum areas free or lighter on ornaments, but it does affect the overall aesthetics of the garments as a whole. Any tips on that? Yeah, so you need to think about this at the design stage. So while it's amazing, you can draw something and it's fabulous, if it's not just a showpiece that's going to be on a catwalk, if it's something that is going to be worn, say, by a bride, so she's going to be wearing it all day, she's going to be sitting down, so you have to take into account this area for sitting down, so it's not going to have too much stuff there when she sits down. And on the bum, as Babinette says, definitely you can't go loading up this area with a ton of huge flowers that then get squashed and look terrible as soon as she gets in the car or something like that. So yeah, it's very important to think at the design stage of the practicality. As much as it's lovely to just go and do whatever you want, you do have to think of the practicalities at times of being able to sit down in the dress or being able to move in the dress. And also taking the silhouette into account. So when I was talking about adding the flowers yesterday and talking about keeping the waist and keeping the silhouette really nice, it's really easy to start adding stuff and losing your shape within a dress. You want to use your embellishments and your colours to really enhance the areas you want to enhance and minimise the areas you want to minimise. So you have to be a little bit clever with your design sometimes to make sure you're getting the final aesthetic that you want. With big tulle skirts, if they start too high, you can end up losing your waist in the tulle. I find that they're more flattering if they start just below the waist. And at the same time, if they start too low, so if you've got quite a long bodice and it's down to sort of the top of your thighs and then the tulle puff starts, that can make your legs look really dumpy, make your legs look short and your torso look crazy long. So as well as thinking about the practicality of where you put the embellishments or even like your overall design, yeah, think about how it works with the silhouette that you want to create as well. It might be that you want to create a silhouette that's got a big puff coming from the waist, so, and it's a deliberate thing, but generally if I'm designing for clients, that's not something they want. They feel bulky in that, and they don't want to feel bulky. They want to feel really something that's going to really flatter their shape and enhance. I find most clients want to enhance that hourglass shape and have something that's going to really flatter that area of their body. Cool. So I hope that helped. Yep, think about it right from the design stage, not at the point where you're going to start putting stuff on. Alright, Stacey Cox on YouTube says, do you wash all your fabrics or only cotton before you cut and sew? Yeah, pretty much only cotton. Especially cotton that's going to be machine washed or hand washed, because it does shrink. And you don't want to end up with a garment shrinking. Sometimes I'll wash a poly cotton as well in case the cotton component in that does shrink a little bit. But for most fabrics, I just use them as they arrive. Often I'll give them a really good steam and a press before I'll use them. But I find there's a lot of fabrics, if you wash them, they end up really soft and they lose that sort of treatment that they come with, and they can give you quite a different effect. if that's what you want, then go for it. Give them a good wash. A lot of fabrics I use are dry clean only, and I don't get them dry clean before I cut them. I tend to cut most things straight out and use them just as they are. Alright, Lorna Abwanji on YouTube says, business question, do you do all the work for your clients or do you outsource as well? If you do, how do you go about it? I do everything. It's just me. I guess most of that is because I'm a control freak and I know if I do it that it's going to come out exactly how I want it. I also do everything myself because my clients like to know that I'm doing it all. They don't want to come in and meet with me and then it gets sent off somewhere else. They love the whole process of being involved with me for every stage. So when I'm making a wedding dress, my client will come and see me multiple times for the design consultation and then for the all the fittings as we're making it. So yeah, and I like working on my own. I'm quite a solitary person, so I really like my own company. I like setting my own hours and working as I want to work. I did have 2 people sewing for me a while ago, and I did have someone else who was sewing orders for me outside of here. So the 2 girls who worked for me were in my studio, and that was lovely. I did enjoy having them here. But that side of the business, that was when I launched my online customizable collections, but that side of the business didn't really take off as I wanted it to, and I couldn't keep them on, which was sad. But I actually really like being on my own. I really like being on my own. So who knows what the future holds, but for now I'm happy to do everything myself. I enjoy doing everything myself, and my clients like me doing everything as well. So that's what's working for me and my business. So every business is different though, so you got to do what's right for you. So to go back to your question about how do you go about it, I found everyone. Demetra came to me. So the 2 girls who sewed in my studio with me, Demetra actually came to me. She was just finishing up studying her fashion diploma, and she sent me a message saying, hey, have you got any jobs going? And her timing was just right, and I was like, I'd actually been thinking about taking someone on to help me. And then Kirsty, I think I put a call out on Facebook to see if anyone sewed, and she got in touch. And then Katrina, who used to sew for me from her house, that was through word of mouth. Someone suggested I get in touch with her. Yeah, so I don't know how you'd go. Putting a shout out on Facebook worked for me. So if you've got a good following on Facebook, maybe there's people who love your work who sew and would like to come and help you or work for you. And just put word out locally, see if there's anyone can give you recommendations of people who might be looking for some sewing work and able to do it from home. Natalia D on YouTube says, what does your typical work week look like? My work weeks vary a lot, whether I'm working for clients, whether I'm filming videos, whether I'm teaching at CIT, whether I'm studying at CIT as well at the minute. So I'm sort of juggling a lot of different things. So at the start of the week, what I do, or on a Sunday night or first thing on a Monday morning, I make a list of everything I need to do for that week. So I split it into sewing, to editing, to clients that I need to contact, and make a list of all of the things I need to do that week. Then I also make a list of all the appointments I have that week as well, so I know exactly what I've got. So Monday I've got a fitting at 10 with so-and-so, Tuesday I've got whatever, so I know exactly what I've got going on every day that week as well. And then I've also got a list of social media too, so split into like a week, so I can see which social media I've done each day and which I haven't done. Otherwise it's really easy to go a few days and you go, oh hang on, I haven't posted on Facebook for a while. Then once I've got that list, I can go, all right, I can see I've got so-and-so coming for a fitting on Tuesday, so Monday I will spend working on her toile, and I need to film this video and then I need to edit this video, and then I'll cross everything off as I go, and then hopefully by the end of the week everything's crossed off my list and then the next week it all starts again. So while my weeks do vary a lot, sometimes I'm in the studio a lot, sometimes I'm on the computer a lot, sometimes I'm not here, I'm out at CIT a lot or out looking for materials or online looking for materials, so it does vary quite a bit, but that's how I make sure I get everything I need to get done in a week. Some weeks are a lot busier than others. So then my working days within that week, each day is pretty much the same. So I get up around 7:30, get dressed, have breakfast, then maybe around 8 o'clock I'll sit down and look at my emails and do some computer stuff. Then I take my daughter to school around 9. Not at the minute, but in the normal world, I take my daughter to school at 9, come home, then I'll have a coffee and do some more emails. I'll do some stuff on my computer for maybe half an hour. Then I come out to the studio and I spend all day in the studio if that's what I need to do until I pick her up from school at 3. And then after 3 I either go back onto my computer and do things I need to do on there, or I'll come back to the studio and keep sewing. So yeah, my day's sort of, it's kind of structured a little bit around school hours. And school holidays, that all goes out the window and I just have to work as and when I can. I do find that I end up coming back out here and sewing in the evening a lot of the time. Yeah, and it depends on the time of year as well. So the end of the year here in Australia is spring, coming into summer, and that's my busiest time for weddings. So around August it starts to get a bit crazy. So September, October, November and December are normally my really busy times of wedding dresses. So most of that time I'm out here and I'm sewing till late at night. Yeah, this year is going to be a bit different because most of the wedding orders that I had booked in for the end of the year have been postponed. People have postponed their weddings, often without new dates at the minute because we don't know what's happening. So yeah, I don't have a lot of orders to actually do at the end of this year. They're all going to be moved to next year. I think I've got 2 left who haven't moved yet or have changed their plans or downsized plans. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But it is what it is. Yeah, it's crazy times at the minute. So yeah, we'll just have to play it by ear. But in the meantime, I'm staying home and I'm making videos. I might leave it there for today because this is going to get really long otherwise. So I'm going to say goodbye. I will be back tomorrow and I'll film the next lot of questions and I'll show you where I'm up to with sewing all these flowers onto the sunset dress. I'm just going to sit out here quietly this afternoon and sew and get this video edited at some point too. Let me know if you want to see a tutorial on how I make my head wraps, because I do so they're sort of gathered. I can't tie a scarf around my head, it just pops off, so I actually gather these so that creates more shape for putting on. So I'll make a video on them if you want. I've got some more fabric that I've bought because God knows when I'll get to the hairdresser next. Yeah, so I will keep sewing, get editing, and I'll see you tomorrow for Q&A part 2.